So the introduction will be playing.
We have another one.
The introduction is playing right now. And then we go 3, 2, 1. We're live. Hey, Caterina De Falco. How are you doing today? Good, 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 good. And maybe we can start with a little bit of your background. You tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, definitely. Just see that goes in there. Should I just go back there? You can, yeah.
Where's M3?
Downstairs.
Oh, it's downstairs. Wait a minute. So confused.
I've been doing Starbucks. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. That's awesome. And how did you become? eh, And I hear you. Awesome. Good, good, good. And how did you become interested in this? Or how was your personal journey through the dinner? How was that? That's so cool. So many things come to mind. I think the first one it was that interested me. How was the first time that you went to France? Um, how was that trip, and why did you go, and how did it turn about? Wow. Absolutely. Right. Oh wow, that's so, like you took me there, you know, and I've had some of these experiences, and I can relate so much in those moments where you know, you feel just so connected to these people, and you just feel like alive, you know, so alive, so full, and the anticipation of the food coming and the conversation and the sounds in the background, you know, all these things, the smells of the delicious food, um, and so then after that you went to finance world pretty much, right, after that year. And then you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing your thing, you're great at it, and then what happened that you're like, I gotta do this other thing now? Mm. Mhm. Yeah, no, you're doing you're studying right there, like how from the finance world you started kind of making this transition, and into figuring out like how do I get this result, and so you were telling me that, and so yeah, 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 definitely. Mm. That's awesome. Yeah, it makes me think of a time. I think in Colombia, where I'm from, there's a lot of impact. There's a lot of um, a lot of energy put into eating together, having meals together, laughing, joking, all this, and but one time you made me think of a moment. I was in Nepal, and I spent some time up with the guru, some mountain up there, but he was super cool. And we used to sit down in the floor, like back in the day. And he was telling me that when he built the ashram, it was like a school. And he said, I wanted to have the experience like they did like hundreds of years ago. I didn't want to build a table or anything. And then you sit in the floor, and it was made with this mud that was like specially made for the dining room, I guess. That is like this clay, and we sat there, and I just remember like everybody sitting, down in the floor, and we're just kind of eating, and they eat with their hands a lot. And he's just like, and he always said like experience the food, experience when you chew it, experience. And I just remember they had a cucumber farm outside, and the cucumbers were like this big, and they were super sweet. And I just remember sitting there in that kitchen, eating that cucumber, and it was like you're so alive, and like yeah, you feel like you're alive, like you're living. Your brain, you can feel it's like something is hitting it. Um, and so that's amazing to and then moving here to United States, it is crazy because I mean, I'm a workaholic too. I work so much and everything, and it's been really recently that I've been kind of being conscious about putting this into practice, and it makes such a big difference. You're so right about in the connection and the conversations, and we need this so much in the world right now. You know. And how do you see that it could that how do you see it's helped people implement this? It's cool. Right. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's crazy because when you look at the data, from my perspective, like in the medical health, and when you look at the blue zones, which is the areas you probably heard that where they live the longest, the healthiest, and when the scientists looked at these areas, they said that there was like the power nine, these nine things that all these cultures that live the longest, live the healthiest, they do, and most of them have like a community dinners. They have sit down dinners, like it's so healthy for our brains. And I mean, studies for depression, anxiety, pain management, just the fact of sitting down in the table, it reduces people's use of narcotics, it reduces depression, reduces anxiety, increases coping skills. And it's so simple. And one of the things that you're making me think of is there's a book by Ray Dalio, which is interesting because you're in the financial world. I don't know if you've probably heard of. Oh my God, you probably love his stuff. Ray Dalio, I think he's like one of the best investors in the world. He manages China's money. The guy is like, and so he wrote this book called Principles. Actually, he wrote two books. One of them is Principles and the of Life, and the other one is Financial Principles. And he's had the most successful hedge fund in the history of the humankind. The guy is fascinating. But it's so crazy because in the book he talks about like finances and all of this, but he says that life can be so simple, and that what makes life so beautiful is the daily things that we do. He says that it doesn't matter how wealthy he is, which is like one of the most wealthiest men in the world, that sitting down with his family to eat dinner is one of the keys to his life. And so, like, this is so important. And those two worlds that are very, I have a lot of experience in the finance too, and they're, is a very, it could be a very self-destructive, just like my background in Colombia. There's people who know how to handle it, and there is people, and so these two things that he's kind of put together, like what you're doing, it's so relevant right now. It's yeah, definitely. The ancho the ingredients are important, but there's that the sitting down with the community. That's what I think is so healthy for our brains with the neuroscience. When we just sit together in a table, and yeah, I think, I mean, I was thinking of something, but it slipped my mind, and it was regarding. I think we were right before we got into the the blue zones and everything. How important it is to get the whole fam. Here's what I was thinking. That is, it almost seems like there's this book called Execution, the Four Disciplines of Execution, and it makes me think that a lot of times they say that we measure our lives or results in companies what they call lag measures. So, like, if I'm trying to lose weight, the lag measure is like, okay, I'm gonna lose 100 pounds by next month, right? And so that is a measure that, about when I get there, there is nothing I can do about it. Like, it's done. Like, I look at the weight and that's it. But they say that the biggest thing is a lead measure, which is something you do every day. And so that's what creates the real results. It's like what your husband was talking about, that this and lead measures is something that you can influence. Like, it's not the weight number, you can't do anything about that, but sitting down is something that you can do and then mark and check. And so then that consistent discipline creates the result. And so he says that many people focus on that result, but actually what we need to focus on for execution is on the lead measure. Am I doing that every day? Yeah, right. And so I think about it like, okay, like sending a text to my wife every day. If we're having problems, and I'm not, like, if I've looked at my calendar in the past 5 days, I haven't done that. Like, it's on me. And so it's the same with the dinner. I think, like, the amazing conversations you have with your teenagers, I feel the same way. Like, oh, I feel so disconnected. Like, and then I look at the week. Well, I haven't had dinner like 5 days. So the lead measures are not there, and so it's like, it's almost like a blessing or a curse, because once you know that that's the way out, then it's up to us, right? Right. Mm. Yeah, that's so yeah, because you look at some people in a crowd and you can tell that person works out 7 days a week, no doubt about it, right? And so for them is a must. It's something that they do. This is what they do. This is life. And I think I love that. That's what I look at the book about executions because they said that you know we don't get things done in in our companies and in our personal lives because we forget about the value of the discipline of, and then once it's just a part of you, like the Italians and the French, like then it's just like when you don't do it, like what you're saying, then it's like oh something's missing, you know. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, I agree. There's always a way to do it. One time I tried to take my daughter out in like a time out a week, and I was out of town, and I was a part of a mastermind group, and the guy is like, no matter what, you're going on a walk with your daughter, all of you. And I was like, how am I gonna do that? But then I FaceTime her, and we both went on a walk on FaceTime. And we had like the best conversation because he was a little more relaxed, maybe. I don't know why, but it was like one of those moments that I remember. And so it just makes me realize how that there is always a way that you can keep that connection going. And so, what's next for you? What's next on your vision to take this movement forward? Yeah. That is awesome. Yeah, it's like somebody can tell you like and describe how ice cream is and how the taste it, but it's like when you taste it, that's when you have it. The same with having dinner like with a group of people. That sounds awesome. Going to France and having dinner. And so, and this in November, the one in Michigan, you said? Oh, gotcha. That's awesome. Oh, I love the whole story. That's awesome. Oh, I love the story and the setting is gonna be so powerful. I think places have a way of bringing this type of events into life and the history of the Dodge family. And I mean, it's just the whole thing about legacy. Talk about legacy. That's awesome. Great. And so I'll be looking forward to seeing how this progress goes and catching up with you. And all the best. And thank you so much for coming and sharing these awesome stories with us. You're welcome, and thank you too. All right, Katerina. Take care. Okay. Bye bye.